All right, let's talk about the new rules of cybersecurity. Because honestly, according to Microsoft's latest big report, the game has totally changed. And what we're about to get into, it's not just good to know. It's pretty much non-negotiable if you want to stay safe out there.
Yeah, and this quote right here, it really sets the stage, you know? It's not just some fancy opener. It's a straight up warning. The threats we're all facing are evolving at a wild pace, and they're being supercharged by new tech and, well, all the global tension out there. So, what's the single biggest shift we really need to wrap our heads around? Well, it starts with this. You gotta forget that old school image of a hacker in a hoodie, furiously trying to smash through a digital wall. That's not the main threat anymore. They're logging in. Simple as that. And what's so wild about this is how simple yet profound it is. Bad actors are using stolen or just plain weak credentials to basically just walk in the front door. This changes everything because the new front line, it's not your firewall. It's your identity. Yeah, your username, your password, all those access tokens, those are the new crown jewels. Seriously, protecting them is pretty much the central challenge of cybersecurity today. And this really drives the point home. You'd think attackers are using some kind of super advanced, crazy complex methods, right? But look at this. Over 97% of identity attacks are just basic stuff. We're talking password spraying. That's where they just try one common password against a ton of different accounts. And brute force. They're not inventing new weapons. They're just firing the old ones at a massive scale. Basically just hoping somebody somewhere left the door unlocked. And when they do get clever, it's usually by manipulating us, the actual users. Check out this new technique called click fix. The way it works is they trick you into copying a bit of code from a pop-up and pasting it into your own system. Now here's the kicker. Your security software just sees you running the code. It doesn't see a malicious file. It's a perfect, kind of scary example of how they're blending in by turning our own trust against us. Okay, so what happens to all those stolen logins and passwords? Well, they don't just disappear. They become the fuel for a surprisingly organized underground economy. Let's peel back the curtain and see how that whole system works. This is basically the criminal supply chain. It all starts with something simple, maybe a fake ad or a phishing email. That one click installs something called an info stealer on your machine. It just sits there, quietly grabbing all your logins. Then, those logins get bundled up and sold on dark web markets. And who's buying them? Often, it's ransomware groups, who then use them to launch their own massive, devastating attacks. It's crazy to think that just one little mistake can kickstart this whole enterprise. Okay, now let's throw a real game changer into the mix. AI, artificial intelligence. This isn't just another tool, you guys. It's a massive force multiplier for both the good guys and the bad guy. And this lays out the conflict perfectly. It's like a double-edged sword. On one side, attackers are using AI to write phishing emails that are almost impossible to spot or to create super convincing deepfakes. But on the other side, defenders are using that exact same technology to build defenses that can spot threats in real time and even patch vulnerabilities automatically. It is a genuine, high-stakes arms race. And just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, the stakes get even higher when we start talking about nation-states. Because they're using all these advanced tools, not just for money, but for geopolitical power and, strategic advantage. So the report points to China's main focus being global espionage, basically gathering huge amounts of intelligence and intellectual property, all to push their long-term strategic and economic goals on the world stage. When it comes to Iran, the report describes their operations as relentless and really adaptive. They're mainly targeting rivals in their region with a laser focus on critical infrastructure. We're talking energy, water, as a way to project power. Russia's strategy, on the other hand, is shifting. Yeah, they're broadening their list of targets, but here's the really interesting part. They're increasingly using the existing cybercriminal world. By using these criminal groups as proxies, they can launch major operations and make it way, way harder to figure out who is actually behind it all. And finally, North Korea. Their cyber ops are mostly about one thing: money, generating revenue. We all know they're famous for stealing cryptocurrency to fund the regime. But get this, here's a crazy twist. They're also placing their own IT workers inside legitimate companies all over the world. That creates an insider threat from the moment they're hired. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time on the threats. It's a little scary, right? But now for the most important part, the playbook. what do we actually do? How do we build a defense for this new reality? Look, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this number: 99%. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, whatever you want to call it, it blocks over 99% of these identity-based attacks. It's that simple. Even if a bad guy gets your password, MFA stops them cold. It is, without a doubt, the single most effective defense you can possibly use. So that brings us to the winning strategy, which really boils down to 4 key moves. First off, you've got to treat cyber risk as a core business risk. It's not just an IT problem anymore. This stuff needs to be talked about in the boardroom. Second, you have to double down on protecting identities. That means using the absolute strongest, most phishing-resistant MFA you can find. Third, keep your eyes on the horizon. New regulations are coming, and you need to be ready. And fourth, and this is a big one, start planning now for the next wave of threats, especially the ones coming from AI and quantum computing. And that leaves us with one final, pretty heavy thought. Right now, today, we're all scrambling to keep up with AI-driven threats. But this report makes it crystal clear that quantum computing is looming on the horizon. I mean, think about it. A powerful quantum computer could, in theory, just shatter the encryption that protects, well, everything. Our bank accounts, government secrets, all of it. So the real question isn't just, are we secure today? It's, are we even remotely ready for what's coming next?